What's up, everyone? I am joined again today by Alpha Villains. How you doing? Nice to see you, buddy.
Hey, hey, Rob, how you doing, man? Appreciate you for having me back on. Always a pleasure, man. I always love our conversations. I think there's a lot of gems, a lot of nuggets that we get from each other, and I think the audience will really enjoy. I appreciate you for having me on, man. How's it going?
It's going pretty good, man. This is going to be one of my. So I'm going to do one more stream after this, like live show, and then I'm taking a break for the rest of the year because I'm moving, so I have to get all set up.
Mm,
I might do a show with Afi when he's in
okay,
town,
okay,
just depending
nice,
on how I get things set up. And
man.
but I'm going to be still be dropping some videos all the way up until before Christmas, and I'm taking a break for the rest of the year if I don't do my show.
Man, that's it's been a busy year. You've been grinding. You deserve that rest and relaxation, even though it's not necessarily going to be rest. You're going to be moving around, but at least you're doing things and you're setting up to bring in the new year the right way, right? So
So
it's not where you
rock
start;
on.
it's always where you finish. And the fact that you're moving, you're kind of doing your thing. It's definitely going to set the tone for 23. So that's good.
Exactly. And how about you before we go into the show? What's been going on with you?
Just grinding, man, like you, bro. Just grinding, trying to figure this thing out, this YouTube thing out. Thankfully, I'm still enjoying it. I'm not too hung up on the numbers. I'm not too hung up on the subscribers. I'm still enjoying it. People are still getting a kick out of some of the stories. They're appreciating the content. I'm getting the feedback, and again, it's therapy for me. It's a lot of work. I got a 9 to 5. I got responsibilities, but
Mhm.
I can't justify doing anything else at the moment because this what I'm doing feels good. So it doesn't necessarily feel like work, man. So I'm just grinding, trying to finish the year
Right.
strong so I can set the tone for myself for 23.
There you go. That's how you got to do it. No, and I like doing this too. So that's what kind of helps me pull through it. I always try to do some deep breathing and some meditation before I do my recordings or get on these streams. Maybe a cup of coffee to give me the
Right,
energy, the extra
right,
jolt I need to get going. But that's how you got to do it.
right.
Cool. So today we want to talk about how men can become more attractive because I think there's many ways they can do that. And it's not just with looks, but it also comes with building their mindset too, I believe.
Absolutely. Yeah,
So,
so let's talk about that. Let's talk
okay.
about, there's some obvious things. I'm going to try to stay away from some of the basic things that we hear about all the time. Height, jawline, muscularity, and shit like that. Those are things that can really help guys, but some of us average dudes don't necessarily aren't necessarily blessed with the genetics, right? With the height, perhaps, or maybe the tight jawline, or maybe the low body fat. A lot of those things can't be controlled, but there are a lot of things that men tend to ignore that can be controlled. And the reason why they tend to ignore the things that can be controlled is because it takes a lot of work, Rob. It takes
Everything
a it
takes work.
right. It takes a lot of work, and a lot of guys are not necessarily prioritizing what they need to do and not prioritizing what where they need to allocate their energy, right? So they're doing a lot of work trying to figure out women while ignoring themselves. And I think and I
Right.
think
I like
women
that.
right, so women get turned off and find it very unattractive when a man isn't focused and locked in onto the things that he needs to become the best version of himself for the woman. We always talk about this, Rob, that women want security, they're hypergamous, etc., all that shit. And if a man understands his role as the provider, the protector, the leader, he really should be prioritizing the things that will ultimately make him more attractive to more women. And ultimately, what that is just being in a position to lead the relationship and be the provider. Now, I'm not talking about being a simp, buying dates and shit, leading with your wallet. I'm talking about the ability to have options and creating the options that you want that will benefit you. That's a very attractive trait that a lot of guys don't necessarily want to focus on because they rather inject steroids, they rather buy nice things and shit like that that will depreciate just to lure the woman, but they can't wind up keeping the woman.
hmm And when you mention options, I think not just options with women, but is having also like options that that you develop for yourself, like working on something like a goal towards yourself, building a business, maybe taking up a hobby or something like that, and building upon that because that can be considered an option too because it keeps the guy focused on what it is he's trying to build and everything, and that when he
Right.
goes through those situations with the women, like he actually is going to continue to focus on that and not put her first all the time.
Yeah, you mentioned something that is also something that's overlooked too. Hobbies can be very attractive, right? Women that men who have a lot of different hobbies, a lot of different interests, wind up being more interesting than the basic
Hmm.
guy, right? So when you have a conversation, you're out on a date, women, even though you may not be the tallest or the best looking, this is where you're intrigued. You build your intrigue, you build your mindset because now your mind is working because you're skilled at different things that most people aren't skilled at. You do different things. You have different hobbies that most people don't do. Most people aren't prioritizing their happiness and their hobbies and shit like that. So when you meet a woman, you have different hobbies. Now you can become the experience, Rob, because now you're bringing her into your world and you're showing her new experiences based on your hobbies, and that might entice her, and she might find something that she enjoys based on your experience, based on the fact that you kind of led her and introduced her to that. So I think that's very important. Like a lot of guys don't know what makes them tick. A lot of guys don't know what they like to do for fun. They're too busy working. They're too busy trying to figure out stay in the gym and shit like that. And those are things that are necessary. But I
Yeah, I
think
agree.
guys who have a work life balance is very attractive too to women because women are agents of chaos. They have no time management skills. And if you are a man who devotes time to himself, devotes time to his hobbies, when you do have time and you allocate time to a woman, you're going to be present with that woman. It's all going to, and then it's going to be about quality versus quantity. So she'll
Hmm.
definitely appreciate that.
No, and you mentioned something very interesting too, and I do believe that you like, having stuff going on for yourself, hobbies or life, and then bringing the girl into that experience, and she's gonna find that attractive because if there's when she's with you and stuff, and you're bringing her into your reality and showing her the stuff that you like to do, bringing her around the people you hang out, it creates an experience for her.
Precisely. And that's what we always talk about. It's all about being the experience. I always say on my show, women don't want an equal. You can't tell them that, but it's important for men to know that women don't want an equal. They want a teacher. They want somebody who can consistently teach them things, can lead them down a path where it's going to be a little bit easier. Well, this is why we have the burden, right? This is why we are willing to fall on our sword, but they have to be worthy of falling on our sword, right? So being the experience is relatively easy when you're taking the pressure out of trying to impress a woman. That's another thing that's attractive in men that women find attractive. The not the desire to not want to impress her. Effortless, right? A lot of guys want to really look dressed up down to the T, which is something that can be helpful. But a
Hmm.
lot of women, because they're so insecure, effortless masculinity sometimes is an attractive trait for women because now you're making the woman feel comfortable. A lot of women, you'll hear a lot of women say, I don't want a guy who's in the mirror longer than me. I don't want him to look prettier than me. This is because women want the spotlight. So if you're confident in yourself, you're not putting too much effort in yourself. You got a black t-shirt, some jeans, and some boots and shit like that. You got hobbies, you're leading the relationship, you're masculine. That can be very attractive because she knows that the role of the man is to lead and just be a man, while the woman, all she simply has to do is be pretty and be feminine around you. So when men alleviate pressures from women, that can be very attractive. But in order to alleviate pressures from women, you got to be a confident man.
Yeah, you got to be confident in yourself and do that. And like you mentioned, have the ability to lead her, and like show her that, like because when you, I know that's interesting that you say that because when you can go out there and be confident and you just can lead her down a path, bring her into your reality and stuff, and just be comfortable with who you are, like again, she's gonna find that attractive because you're right, it takes the pressure. It's making yourself different from all the other guys
Right.
who are trying too hard to impress her.
That's what I'm saying, bro. That's what I'm saying. We always talking about authenticity. How do I stick out? How do I be different? How do I present a different experience for this woman? Most men, as we know, Rob, in this community are males, and we always say most males aren't men. So it's easy, especially nowadays in 2022, it's very easy to stand out, to be masculine. And the first order of business is, no free attention. RIP to Alan Roger Curry. He coined that phrase, no free attention. And I think it's very important. Now, sometimes when there's no free attention, you're not giving women attention because she has to earn it from you. There's five other guys willing to give her that attention. So you may miss the mark there. But
Right.
when there is an opportunity, you find some interest in a woman, this is where it's so important, where the attention that you give her is minimal, but you give her just enough so she stays around to crave more. You don't want to blow your load on the first fucking date. You kind of want to just ration it and let her know and kind of train her that this is what she has to earn. If you want my attention, if you want my hobbies, you want my knowledge, you want my experiences, you kind of have to earn it. And it's kind of like a give and take. And then it becomes more playful too.
Hmm.
So I think women find that very attractive. Somebody who's not silly, who plays games, but can be very playful when it benefits him.
Hmm. Now you mentioned like having to earn the attention and everything. So how, like, elaborate more on that for someone who might not understand completely. Is this like giving the guy respect for who he is? Like,
Yeah, well, you see, nobody owes you respect, Rob, right? So it's like respect is earned, right? Just because I'm cool and shit and I'm tough and I look tough doesn't mean the woman has to respect me. Respect is earned over time, right? But when we're talking
mhm,
about in the confines of dating, like even when you're cold approaching a woman, you got about 10 to 15 seconds to make your pitch, right? To shoot your shot, and she'll determine whether or not she's going to give you her number or she's going to have sex with you, etc. So when we're talking about earning your attention, I think it's very important for a man to be able to gauge that. So if you cold approach her, you got 10 seconds, you give her your spiel, she's interested, you saw her looking at you, she's the energy's there. Then you
mhm.
can kind of gauge whether or not this is going to be a lay down. I'm going to get this date and I'm
Right.
probably going to
Okay.
bang her.
So
So
you're kind of saying it's kind of based how her reaction and her vibe and energy towards you, right?
per
When you're going up there. So if like
precisely.
you're going up to her to approach a woman and like she's not giving you the attention or you don't see the vibe is there, then you don't earn, because the fact that you respect yourself and you're confident in yourself, you can just walk away from it, right?
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, have enough respect to realize that if somebody's not interested, she's just not interested, right? There's so many
Hmm.
women out here. We don't have to convince anybody that you're the prize, Rob. But I think it's important for men who may be suffering, who may not have, still have cold feet, approach anxiety. I think it's important for you to approach women and really figure out and learn women's body language and their energy in terms of being interested or not interested. If she's not interested, you let her go. If she is interested, then you can kind of gauge it accordingly. But when I talk about earning my respect, it's all about the body language and how receptive she is to me. If she's
Hmm.
not very receptive, then she's not going to earn my attention. But if she is
Yeah.
receptive, then I'm going to start spoon feeding her slowly. So that way, you know what I mean? I can keep her around until I get into her mind and then we could take it from there.
Right. No, I like what you're saying because I mean that I think that's how I tend to calibrate my situations too. Like I go
Right.
in there, I'm putting everything on the line. I'm showing her interest, but if I'm not getting, if she's not reciprocating, then I don't need to do that.
Boom.
You just got to walk. You got to know when to walk away. And if that, the funny thing is, the more you go out, the more experience you have with women, the more I think you're going to see that That's when you're going to know that she's worthy of your attention or not.
Right. I like what you said. Said the more you go out, the more experiences you have. It's kind of like your spidey senses become more acute.
Mhm.
And
Right.
also very attractive that women find very attractive. Experienced men, not necessarily hoes or guys who've been all over the city, but guys who walk tall, who know different things, who know how to handle a woman in different situations, knows what kind of fork to use and knows what wine goes with what type of meat, shit like that. When you go out, you have different experiences, and they're always a learning experience. So that way, when you get a woman whose last five dates were really cheesy and cringy, when she comes across a man like Rob, who's experienced, who's charming, who knows himself and shit like that, it's a breath of fresh air. And now the woman's like, wow, I haven't been on a good date in a long time. Then the date becomes memorable. Then you start to become the experience. So even if you don't smash her on the first night, that she can't wait for the second date because the experience, she's hoping that the second date will top the first date because now that you're the experience.
Mhm. Well, and I think another attractive quality is a guy who has standards, because most guys will let people walk all over them. They'll just like, they don't know, what they want and what type of behavior they're going to accept, and they just let people, shit on them. and that could be unattractive to a lot of women, especially. But if you can, you're the type of guy who can show up and be like, say someone's being a woman's being disrespectful to you, and you're able to walk away from that. I mean, that too can be an attractive quality. I mean, because not that's a very rare and that's hard to find.
Yeah, you always hear women say, I don't like a pushover, a guy who's too nice. I could walk all over him. They wind up using that guy. They wind up getting turned off by that guy. Then they turn to the guy who's a bad boy, who's disrespectful. And then the guys who were taught to do everything right, to be gentlemen, we wind up getting better. We wind up going through the red pill rage phase and shit like that. So now what you said was very important. Standards. I think it's also important for guys to not be a pushover when it comes to women and men. When you walk and carry yourself with respect, women don't have another choice but to respect you. Now, you're going to get some shit tests. You're going to get some guys who are going to try you. You're going to get some women who are going to try to push you to see how far she can push you. But this is why women test you, because women should test you because they want to see if you can pass the test. And if you pass the test, now she starts to get attracted to you because now she's like, damn, Rob can handle me. AV can handle a woman like me.
Hmm.
I haven't met a guy who could handle me in a really long time. I wonder what he can do in the bedroom. This is what we're talking about. See, we haven't talked about anything physical, guys. We haven't talked about your money per se.
I
We
know,
haven't talked
right?
about your clothes. All we're talking about is your mindset, right? And your awareness. Now, add some money on there, add some, you go to the gym a couple times a week, add some nice clothes. Now you're really unstoppable. But if you don't have those things, those luxuries, the only thing that you really need is your mindset. And this is why we kind of wanted to take this approach, because everybody talks about looks and shit like that. Not everybody's a looker. Everybody talks about 6 feet and taller. Not everybody's 6 feet. I mean, not everybody can lose the weight. So it's very important for us to really kind of remind you guys there's a lot of things that you can do with working with what you have as long as you're working with your mind.
Hmm. Yeah, exactly. I mean, and that's true. Like I had, I used to compare myself to people like that and everything, and I realized, well, that's a kind of bad mindset to have. Try to like figure out, well, what's great about you and what makes you great. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? Like and that's I think, and that's another thing. You're a guy. When you're showing up with a guy who who you are and everything, and you're not afraid to be authentic with a woman. That can be an attractive quality because like you're showing her your true colors. And like most guys out there, she hears the same stuff all the time.
Precisely. And another thing too, let me elaborate on that.
Okay.
For guys, it's definitely, we want you to be confident in yourself, but the caveat to being confident in yourself and not comparing yourself to everyone is that the caveat is that you're putting in the work in yourself to become the best version of yourself. You can't eat Cheetos and watch video games and watch porn all day and not put any work in and expect to love yourself and be confident. Now, you could do that, but your results are going to be very minimal. When we say love yourself, be authentic, don't compare yourself to other people, we're assuming that you're doing work constantly to become the best version of yourself. And this is what we're talking about. We talked about this earlier, work. A lot of you guys don't want to fucking work. You guys want the easy way out. And I get it, man. Trust me, I was younger. I used to want that too.
Yeah, I wish things could be easy.
Sure, but you know what they say, as cliche as it sounds, Rob, nothing worth having is easy. So when we as men handle the burdens and everything and we take the long way, that affords and allows us to dictate certain terms, right? So when we talk about standards, we talk about women that we want, expectations. The reason why we can be confident in the expectations is because we had to put in a lot of work that most women don't have to put in. We put in a lot of work that most guys aren't willing to put in. So, bitch, do you know how much work I had to do? Do you know what I'm doing right now? Do you know the standards? Do you know how many jobs I got? Do you know what type of legacy I'm building? So when a woman decides to really step out of her ego and really try to consider or fathom what you have going on, this is when we demand femininity. This is what we demand, things that are complementary to us, because a woman is a compliment, not a complication. And if you don't have those
Mm.
things and you're not putting in the work, bro, you're not going to be able to connect any of these dots. So you're going to probably have to rewind this shit and say, damn, what are these guys talking about? But this is the real shit.
Right. No, and it's funny. because I sometimes wish I could have that easy success and everything. I was,
Hell
back in the
yeah.
day, I wish like when I wish I could just go start a business and like 5 days later I'm a millionaire. But that's not the real case. It does involve a lot of work, and because because you're going out there and you're making the effort, you got to see what is working, you got to build upon that, you got to deal with the failures and the setbacks. And most people don't want to deal with that. They just like, well, I thought this would be easy. And the more, but the more you're persistent with that, the better, the more you're going to see the results in your business. But that happens over time because you got to learn how to do things properly, and you got to realize, and I like what you said, anything worth having is worth the wait. Like it is, because
Yeah.
you can sit back and like you can say to yourself, well, shit, I did all that work. Most people would not do that. I did this for 5, 10 years and I made it. Most people would
Yeah.
give up.
Yeah. And some people have the Midas touch. Some people touch something and it turns to gold. It really depends on the cards that we were dealt, Rob, but at the same time, we have to be thankful for the things that we do have, and we have to work towards the things that we don't have. Now, when I think something that we need to talk about too that's very important is your demeanor, right? During these harsh times, right? During the dark times, the uncertain times. I think stoicism is something that is very attractive. Women find very attractive because a lot of women tend to freak out, right? So they tend to freak out, see a roach, they see a mouse, maybe their cars are getting repoed, whatever, dark times. And men have a tendency to kind of compartmentalize their emotions and handle things because we should be solution based. So I think something that's attractive that women find attractive because, again, we know how fragile they could be, is that when a woman is frantic, when she's drowning in a cup of water, I think it's important for men to be the opposite of what. So if the woman's bugging out, she's tripping, she's doing dumb shit, you have to be calm. If she's frantic, she's sad, you have to be the opposite to complement her. Guys solving problems, solution based is very attractive. So it's kind of like if you can fix something in her house, you're handy, shit like that. She finds that attractive. So again, it's all about being solution based and having a clear mind for the most part. So that way you can kind of solve some of the problems that aren't really problems, but she thinks that they are.
Hmm. No, I like that. That's well said. Yeah, you got to be able to be calm when she's awry and everything. Because like if
Yeah.
you're both awry at the same time, you're both in the feminine, and like it's just you're nothing's gonna be accomplished. You're not taking the initiative to leave to find the solution.
Precisely. And too, when you do that a couple of times, then you start to build trust. A woman starts to trust you. And I think that's ultimately what women want. When I'm talking about, is he fucking other women? Does he have this? Does he have that? We're talking about trust in the sense where the ability that if I decide to make you my lady, my main lady, or we're really doing this, you can feel trust, you can trust me, and you can be safe and rest assured that if there's a problem, we're gonna handle it. I'm gonna handle it. There's some type of problem, we're gonna solve it. So trust is something that's very attractive because that comes with work, that comes with credibility, and that comes with your ability as a man to lead her, calm her ass down, and help her come to a realization. Now, first things first, let me say this too. You guys dating women and shit, it is not your job to solve their problems. It's not your job to pay their bills. It's not your job to mend a heart that you didn't break. Let's be very clear.
Right. It's funny you said that because I used to believe that was, like I felt like I had to solve problems for women, and they just wanted someone who could listen rather
Right.
than solve their problems. And that's something I've learned just with my experiences with women, and like in the last true like real relationship I was in, because I always thought like I had to solve problems, and like the woman had to tell me all I want is for someone to listen.
That's a good question. That's a good point. That's another good segue. So we're talking about that's okay. That's very good that you're bringing that up.
Well,
So you learn
you
something the
make this
hard way.
happen.
Let's go. We freestyle. This is what we do.
Yeah.
Learning the hard way and not solving problems. The friend zone. This is where guys fall into the friend zone because biologically men are protectors. We're protectors. We're nurturers, right? Not nurturers. We're protectors. We're providers by nature. And seeing a woman cry or wanting to be heard and shit, we want to be their emotional tampon, and then that winds up biting us in the ass. So it's extremely
Mhm.
important for guys to have standards and set boundaries. Boundaries is also something that women find attractive because now she knows, listen, I can't waste this guy's time. Rob doesn't have time to listen to my stories all the damn time. Rob making money, he's got shit to do. And
Damn
we
right.
have to set, yeah, we got to set boundaries. So when you don't cross the boundaries and a woman knows their parameters, she finds that very attractive because now she knows that you're structured and you have a lot of focus and you're not going to jeopardize what you have going on for her. So falling into the friend zone is an easy thing to do, but it's not our job to mend a woman's heart. It's not our job to listen to a woman's every problem unless she's your lady. If she's your lady, then you kind of coach her and lead and teach her how to deal
Right.
with certain things. But if you're just dating a bitch, don't fall into that, man. Because again, most of the time she's complaining about a guy that she really likes and shit. And then next thing you know, it's 3 o'clock in the morning. You still got your clothes on and shit, and she falls asleep. So don't do that shit. You know what I'm saying?
Right. No, and that stuff will get you in the friend zone. Like,
Yeah.
I don't know. Like like I used to be that because I'm a compassionate person. And like, in my earlier dating years, like I said, I thought that was what I had to do, but then it ended up getting me nowhere because it did put me in the friend zone and everything. I'd like, oh, I'd hear, oh, you're such a great person to talk to. I like you talking to you when I'm sad. I get stuff like that. And at the first, I'm like, okay, cool, this is going to get me somewhere, but it didn't. Because I remember I did that with one girl, and she met another guy, and she was gone. I never heard from her.
Yeah, you know what? You know what? To kind of tie that into attractiveness, I think women appreciate a good communicator, and I'm not talking about communicating your feelings, right? Because a lot of times when we communicate our feelings to women, they wind up using that against us later on during a fight or etc. I'm talking about being direct, right? So if Rob is talking to a woman that's wants to express her concerns and shit like that, it's important for a man to be very clear and say, listen, I'm not really into female friends. I mean, I don't think there's a point to it. I had interest and I wanted to talk to you, go out on a date with you because I found some interest and found you attractive and I wanted to see where it goes, but I have no interest in being friends. You know what I mean? So I think a woman will appreciate a man who doesn't want to waste his time and kind of sets the
Mhm.
standards and boundaries early. So that way this woman knows that she can't get over on Rob. Some women will be turned off because they'll be taken aback, but a lot of women that will really be who kind of are interested will probably be even more interested in you because she knows that you're a no nonsense man. I think that's important.
Mhm. Right. No, I hear you. So you're saying being friends with a woman can be a bad thing too. I mean, I guess it could because especially if you're a busy person, you know what I'm saying. You don't want to waste your time with someone because and most guys who are friends with women more than likely want to just get want them and get in their pants. Like, I mean, the only thing I would really do. And there's a few exes I talk to here and there, but I don't like really hang out with them every day. Like I'll call it just because we had a connection. Yeah, I think that's a good thing, to kind of keep in touch. But I don't like talk to them all the time. But some guys, they'll just pretend want to be a woman's friend because they want to get in their pants.
Yeah, that's a slippery slope. I'm not saying that having female friends is a bad thing. I'm saying
Hmm.
that with a man who doesn't know where he's going, doesn't have standards, he's kind of inexperienced and he's doing anything he can possibly can just to be next to a woman that could be detrimental. But when we're talking about guys like us who have a little bit more experience, who've kind of been burned, who've kind of discovered ourselves and have standards, having a female friend is okay as long as you're setting
Hmm.
parameters and you're not allowing that friendship to interfere with your purpose, interfere with the things that you got going on. And another thing,
Hmm.
a lot of guys, most guys with female friends, they probably are exes or they've already had sex with these females. So it's kind of different. But I'm talking about
Right. Exactly.
if you have an interest in a woman and your intentions are to date this woman and be romantic with this woman, and then eventually it turns into a friendship unbeknownst to you because you weren't leading the relationship properly or leading the union properly,
Hmm.
that's when it gets dangerous. So again, we've all fallen victim to this. But again, if you don't have clear intentions, you're not dating with intentions, you're not focused, you're not valuing your time, the woman's gonna just take you for a ride, bro. She's gonna do whatever she can until you kind of like, rear her back and guide her. So that's what I mean. Like having a female friend can be a little slippery if you don't know what the hell you're doing.
Right, exactly. I mean, yeah, you made a good point though. You're like, you got to be able to lead that, so it doesn't go in. You take it to the, you have to lead that and be authentic with that. So, I mean, so you're not wasting your time. You know what I'm saying?
Right. Right.
Because
Yeah.
if you're just like don't have, like have any standards, you're not taking the initiative by taking the lead, or have a lack of clarity, then you're wasting your time, and then you're going to get suckered in, and then you're going to be disappointed in taken advantage of.
Yeah. Because, we always talk about this. Time is of the essence. It's the most valuable thing. We can't get it back. So if I'm going out, if I'm as busy as we are, Rob, busy as guys should be with their purpose, if they're not where they want to be financially, physically, mentally, there's really not a lot of time to date. But I understand that you guys have to fit in some time. So if you are dating a woman, I'm hoping that you guys have taken the opportunity to vet this woman prior to dating her as much as you possibly can, and that you're using your time not to just fucking hang out. Hopefully, you're trying to close a deal. You're trying to have sex with her. So when I say you're not controlling shit, if I'm going out on a Thursday night with you, bitch, it's more than likely I'm trying to smash. I'm not trying to hang out, because for that I could just be home. You could be home. We can FaceTime and shit, and you can tell me about your fucking problem. I'm not gonna get dressed, go out, block out some time just to hang out. Nah, I don't have time for that, bro.
Hmm. No, right. I definitely hear you on that. You want to hear something I had the realization on the other day. So like,
Close me.
after like this last situation I got out with the girl, like I was kind of thinking I wanted to take like a relationship approach, with the, and kind of give up the casual stuff for a while. But then I thought to myself, I was thinking, I was on the phone with one of my mentors the other day, and like we were talking about me kind of having all these things going on in my life, and so it made me like, after like just kind of, because I have a life coach that I work with, which is different from like consulting,
Sure.
because they ask you the questions, and and this kind of made me realize like, I don't, because of all the stuff I got going on, I don't know how I could fit a relationship into my life unless I met a girl who was on the same page. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, and that's an important realization to have. And that's why, as a man, Rob, you got to make tough decisions, right? Yeah, it would be nice if we can have everything all at once. We can eat everything all at once, but sometimes you got to chew your food before you go to the dessert, right? So now that you're transitioning with employment, your business, you're moving, logistics, this is how, when you coach a younger guy, Rob, then we say, "Oh, how old are you?" "I'm 22." "How's your credit?" "It sucks." "How's your body?" "I'm fat." "I'm still in school." You really don't have time for women. The same thing applies for older guys too. Like if we're transitioning, we have to pivot. Something happens. We have to kind of put women to the side for a little bit to get ourselves situated. Because if you're trying to juggle and do everything at once, you're not going to be present with the woman. B, some of the things that you really need to be doing are going to get pushed to the sideline, and you're going to kind of be in the middle, and you're not really going to have a direction into where you're going. So I hear what you're saying, man, and sometimes I go through that too. But again, we have to prioritize what's important, and if
Like,
you're
you
not,
know what? I like these moments too when we got a lot going on, because even when I'm talking to women, like, because the fact that I know that I'm got a transition going on, I got a lot going on, I can be more direct, and that way
yeah,
I
bitch,
can.
I don't have time for this, yo. Yeah, yeah, I
So
got to
like,
move next week, right?
I get straight. I can always just get straight to the point. And hey, if you're, and again, this values. This kind of ties into what we're talking about earlier. She's giving me the vibe and respecting that. And then she gets the attention. Because because
Right.
that's hard to find, and not every, honestly, not everyone is up for that. But eventually, when you got the stuff going on for you, when you at least go put yourself out there, you'll meet someone like that, and that's what I found.
Right. And that's the key. That's the key. It's like when we can train our bodies and our minds to always have a sense of urgency, right? Because there's always things that we can be doing. Once you get situated, there's always another podcast to do. There's another website to build. There's something else you got to do. So we should always have a sense of urgency and intent when we're doing something, anything that we do. If we go meet up with a friend, are we talking about money? Are we doing business? Like, I'm not just gonna hang out and have drinks and shit. Like, unless all my shit's done, all my laundry's done, everything's done. That's kid shit, right? So for me, being an older man, I try to, first of all, I preserve my energy. Not everybody gets my energy because it's so it's so draining and I'm so tired. So I have to really reserve my energy. But when I decide to go out on
I
a
know what you're
date,
talking about.
yeah, you know what I mean? So like you said, being direct, I don't have a lot of time to fucking waste. Are we doing something or not? Or if I go do a show or I'm on a, you know what I mean? It's like I have to allocate time and push some other things to the side. So anything that I do and anything you guys do moving forward should have a purpose associated with it. If you're doing shit just because, that means you don't really have a lot of direction. And when you start doing that more than what you're doing with purpose, you're gonna wind up in trouble. And then you're gonna wind up being older and looking back and saying, damn, what did all the time go? And you wasted a lot of time.
Mhm. And I'll be hon I'll be hon no, I like that I got stuff going on for me, but sometimes, like, I do reflect on things and I'm like, "God, well, I mean, I wish sometimes I kind of wish I were in a different situation, but I know I can't be," and, it's just the fact that it's that, inner motivation that and drive to succeed that pushes me back there. Because I mean, it gets frustrating being on your purpose sometimes because there's
Oh
certain
my
things you gotta
God,
give up.
bro. We've talked about this last show. And I appreciate your honesty and your transparency.
Mhm.
Being on your purpose and shit. It sounds real cool and it sounds real easy, but it's not easy at all. Being on your purpose is one thing, but staying on your purpose is a fucking other, right? And sometimes we're gonna slow down. Sometimes we're gonna say fuck it. Sometimes we may change our mind. But again, like you said, there are some distractions and there's certain things that will never we'll always have to do. We're always gonna have to become better. We're always gonna have to continue to build things and stuff because that's what men do. This is what we do, man. And like you said, sometimes you give up shit, you give up a social life, you give up an opportunity to get into a relationship or entertain a relationship. And sometimes I get into those feelings too, but then I ask myself, is it worth it? I don't know. Like I can't really look for something when I have something in front of me that's unfinished and I'm trying to finish this before I do something else. Now, I may wind up never finishing what I think I need to finish, but I truly believe when you're on your purpose and you still, as long as you're still enjoying what you're doing, I think everything kind of figures itself out or kind of falls into place, man. So like when we do this, there's opportunities now. I can meet different people. I can meet different women. I have a different opportunity to talk to, and I have different experiences and things I can share with them. So everything happens for a
Yeah,
reason, Rob.
yeah, I like that. Well, and another thing I think when you're on your purpose, I think things just kind of happen naturally in your life.
Right,
You know what I'm saying? Because you're not trying to force things. And I think
right.
because you're not trying to force things, like things just become, things like women and just getting ahead are easy. They just come happen naturally. And I think that's always the best. And it's awesome too because you always come across the right, those cool people. Like came across you, Afi. You know,
Facts. Work. Yeah, exactly. That's what I'm saying too. That's another thing. That's another thing, bro. We're talking about attractiveness. What is what how to become more attractive. And again, notice guys, once again, if you're just joining us, we're not talking about anything that has to do with trying to impress a woman. We're talking about what we need to do as men that as a byproduct will wind up impressing women.
hmm
We've only talked about women as We've only talked about women as byproducts. We haven't talked about how to get more women. When we do things for ourselves, when we put ourselves first, women gravitate to that because, once again, they require leadership. And, when we talk about women and we're talking about purpose and shit like that, it's so important for us to understand and define what our purpose is going to be and allow yourself to build it. Allow yourself to give yourself some time to kind of water it and watch it grow. Don't add any pressure from other women. Don't add any pressure from family members. This is a journey that you have to do for yourself. And like your life coach told you when you talk to him out loud, he said, I really don't have time for women. But like you said, when you're on your purpose, things kind of figure themselves out. And the right person will come along that is in line with what you're doing. You said that you may not be able to find a regular girl because she's got to be on the same wavelength. Good luck finding that. But when you do find that, that's when you know that this person might be the one, quote unquote, for you because now you guys have the same grievances. She's more empathetic to your grind and your journey. And then these are things that you can these are things that you will have in common that will alleviate the normal dating and all that other shit.
hmm No, and it's funny you said that too, because when we were talking earlier about experiences and everything, and So I mean, and I've done a lot these past few years, but like even when I'm meeting new girls or out on dates, I tell them some of the stuff I do. Like I tell them about I'm a meetup event organizer and stuff, and they're intrigued by that.
Right.
Like I just talked to someone recently. I'm going out with her tomorrow, and she was really intrigued. She's like, "Oh, that sounds like fun. I want to go to these events and stuff like that."
Right.
So that was kind of cool. And and she's busy doing her own thing at the moment, which is good. So, and it's weird. She messaged me later. She's like, "I have a feeling when I see you tomorrow, everything's going to go well." We haven't even met.
That's what I'm talking about, bro. See, that's what I'm saying. It's like you already doing what you're doing and you're finding a woman that's attracted or intrigued by what you're doing. Notice, guys,
Mhm.
he hasn't done anything different than what he's doing. And that's the position you want to be in. When you do cool shit, you're on your purpose, you're trying to learn new things, do new hobbies, women will gravitate to you. This is a woman that's never been to any of those things. So now she knows the guy at the door. You're like the guy at the door of the club. You know what I mean? Like a pretty good trying to get into the club. So you're the plug. So this is what I'm saying. When you have hobbies, you're doing stuff that benefits you, the right people will gravitate toward you. And you don't have to do that much work, but be yourself.
Right, exactly. And it's funny because she was mentioning too about like I was telling her about some of the events and such. Like, oh, I like doing this stuff. I'm like, well, you met the right guy. I said that with confidence right there.
Exactly. You met the right guy. And that's what I'm saying, man. You didn't have to go out of your way to just be yourself and just continue to become a better version of yourself. That's the
Hmm.
play. That's the plug, man. That's what women find attractive. When you don't allow society and the pressures of anything else, but you be yourself and you're trying to become a better version of yourself. And you know that you can't change and you're not going to change unless you want to change. We're not changing for women. We're not changing unless we
Oh,
feel
Afi
the need to
Kingdom's
change.
in the house. Give me in.
Salute to my big bro.
Hey, buddy.
Peace, peace,
Hey.
peace.
No,
Yeah.
that's true though. Like I realize, yeah, I think that's you're right though. I think that's just what happens when you. It's just amazing how that happens. I guess because you are doing stuff. The fact that you're going out there and you're creating something awesome for yourself right there. That's like you don't even have to brag. Like
That's what I'm
people are
saying.
intrigued by that.
That's what I'm saying. It's like you're an event coordinator and shit like that. And you say it like it's so nonchalant, but it is a very cool job. And it's a position that you kind of cultivated and you kind of got connections and shit like that. So that's something that's like, yeah, we do a show and shit. I wrote a book, shit like that. It's not a big deal, but when to other people, it's like, wow, this guy's really doing some shit. So this is what I'm saying. But everything that you see, this is the cool part about it, Rob. Everything that everyone's intrigued about is something that you've done on your own and you're doing on your own. You're not riding any waves. You're not trying to be anybody else, but you're just being Rob from, command your confidence. So that is extremely attractive. Now, sometimes during our hustle and bustle, we forget and we're kind of stuck in one geographic area, but you're worldwide at this point. So it's just a matter of time. Right now, we're still trying to build our brands, but there's going to be a point in time where we're going to be in a position where it's cruise control a little bit. And now we're really going to be able to take advantage of the fruit, the spoils of war.
Right. And I'm pretty confident I'm going to make it happen because I think I'm working, when I'm doing my content, I'm working trying to find my voice and everything. I mean, once I
Yeah,
get
me
that
too.
there and everything, like I definitely think I'm going to kill it. And I also
Sure.
have some great ideas for next year and everything, which I'm
Nice.
really looking forward to just implementing because now that I'm, not now that I'm not tied down to anyone, I can make it happen. So,
Sure. Yeah, you gotta, use that time wisely. Don't wait. You never know, man. You might meet somebody that you do want to revisit
mhm,
the whole relationship thing. But I think now that you have standards and you kind of just got out of a situation, now you kind of know how to balance it out and what your expectations are. You know what I mean? Because
right.
if a woman is smart and she plays her role, man, and you're building your legacy, if she plays her cards right, man, she might wind up enjoying some of the benefits and the perks from being with you because of your purpose. So women need to really just learn how to play their positions while men understand and appreciate that she is, playing her position. And then you reward her accordingly.
Hmm. Right. No, that's true. And sometimes though, when we're on our path, there's things that happen that kind of push you back a bit. So like, you can definitely, have that confidence. You can be rolling and kicking ass, and then there's shit that happens in your life, and it just shifts you back into that mindset too. And as a guy too, another attractive trait is being able to crawl out of that and not give up because of that. Because a lot of people, when they get into a certain situation, they just give up, and they let their emotions take control of them. And not everything's like hunky dory, but like the fact that you can overcome adversity is, I think, another attractive point, because I think it strengthens your mind. And when you face situations with the women, since you have that quality, you can use that into the relationship, or when you're with the girl, whatever, when the situation should arise.
Sure. Yeah, you're absolutely right. It's all about adversity. And again, that kind of ties hand in hand with the trust thing. When a woman sees that you can handle adversity, she knows that, AV's going to figure it out. Rob's going to figure it out. And, shit happens to all of us, man. You could be at the top of your game. God forbid something happens. You lose a parent, you lose a pet, you get into an accident. There's a lot of setbacks that happen, but it's all about how you manage and deal with those setbacks. And I think it's important for men to understand that no one is impervious to death. Everyone's going to die. Everyone's going to hurt. And I think not allowing the inevitables to stop you, right? We're all going to lose parents. We're all going to go through some shit, but not allowing that to stop you. Now, we're all going to sit back. We're all going to be forced to sit down and slow down. But I think, again, something that is very attractive and is necessary is being able to roll with the punches. It not only builds character, it makes you tougher, and it really kind of shows you what you're made of. Because sometimes we need to be reminded of what the hell we're made of. I was talking to a friend of mine the other day, and we talked about fighting. And we were like, bro, we're like, yo, we haven't got into, not he and I, but I said, yo, I want to, like, sometimes I just want to get into a fight with somebody because I kind of want to be reminded of what I can do, or sometimes I need to get my aggression out. So I think it's important. Sometimes men need to be reminded of the things that we can endure. And, when you can endure things and you get back up, the real people will be really impressed by that. Because again, it's not how many times you get knocked down, it's how many times you get back up. So that's a
Right.
definitely attractive quality.
Exactly. Well, this year in particular, man, like this has been a challenging year for me, because it's one of those years where just like shit had just continued. This shit comes in my life, it just kind of like throws me off a bit, with my mindset and everything. And I learned that like you have to have that awareness when you get thrown off, of like, because like you got to say to yourself, like, well, hey, remember we were talking about gratitude last time.
Right.
And that's when you got to reflect upon all the good things you accomplished and achieved and where you are. And that's what's kind of helped me get through this year, because it's been a really crazy year. I've had like a
Me
lot of
too, man.
change going
Trust
on.
me.
I'm
Me
real.
too.
I'm not a person of change, and I hate change.
Right.
And then there's just certain things, other things. But I'm looking at when I move into this apartment in next week. I'm as a fresh start and everything, like a new
That's
revival.
awesome.
So I'm going into that with a energy and just revitalization. And then we got and everyone talks about New Year's and stuff. And I guess you can kind of look at that as a revitalization. But I'm pretty optimistic that 2023 is going to be good, and I'm going to continue to like grow my, in my, how should I say, my mindset and everything, because I've learned through my experiences this year, even when I got back into my crappy state of mind, that I had to tell myself, this is not what you accomplished. This is the old you that's coming back to haunt you. This is the old mindset, and you don't need that. You have worked on yourself for the past 5.5 years. You have accomplished a lot. You're able to overcome fears and anxieties about this and that, and you don't need to be stuck back. You don't need to go back to, I felt like I had a bit of a reset,
Sure.
but then I was aware that I had a reset, and it just helped me push out of that.
That's awesome. Well, think about this, Rob. I mean, if you didn't share that with your audience and me, nobody would have ever fucking known that you had a turbulent year. That's a testament to your strength. That's a testament to your desire to do well, because we had no fucking idea you were having a tough year. The reason why we had no idea is because you kept doing your fucking shows. You kept working on websites. You kept going out on dates and shit like that. See, that's part of being a man. That's something that's attractive. People need
Right.
that, because people now, Rob, are drawn to your strength. Some of your audience members are like, damn, Rob, I didn't know you were going through that. And then they say, well, how did you do it? How did you keep going? that opens up doors for you there with consultations and shit like that. And then with women,
Mhm.
it's all about the
Well,
stoicism we just talked about. So at the end of the day, man, it's all about the reset. And it's not, again, it's not where you start, it's where you finish. And I think every day is an opportunity for you to do better. And the fact that you were able to do it, and life begins when we get out of their comfort zone. And now that you're going through changes and you're still flourishing, it's definitely going to be a good year for you, bro.
well, right, and it's weird because now that I look back at it, even though the beginning of the year was a little rough, things actually turned out good, which
Nice.
is good.
Right.
But then there was other things that that came up along the way that kind of just like threw me off. And
Sure.
yeah, and I'm still here right now, and
That's what I'm saying.
I'm not afraid to admit that even when you have seen progress in your growth and everything, there are going to be moments where you are just halted. You go in a reset, and you're like, oh fuck, But you got to be
Trust
able
me.
to crawl out of that. And it's weird, like you said, keep going. You just keep on pushing,
Keep
man.
on pushing, man. And don't, always, we're talking about thankful and gratitude, be thankful for these conversations that we have, conversations with your life coach, other conversations that you have with people that can relate to you, who may have reminded you of some of your accomplishments. All we got to do, Rob, is when we get tired or we're feeling kind of crappy, just turn on YouTube and go to our oldest video and see how many videos we've actually created. Look at the amount of people that we've actually helped. Look at all the messages that are going to outlive us. That going to be
Mhm.
that some of the things that we've discussed, some of the videos that you created have gotten people out of jams, feeling crappy. Maybe people who had turbulent years listen to your content. They're like, wow, man, this really got me in a better space. So this is what we signed up for. And I think this is part of our calling, man. Even Superman needs to turn his cape into the cleaners, right? Batman, the Batmobile needs to go to the fucking mechanic. But at the end of the day, we're all human. But I think what differentiates us is the ability to keep going because we have a bigger purpose.
Right. No, that's true, man. And that's just how you gotta, that just gives you the drive to just push forward and stuff.
Sure.
Sure, like even those who have success have their down moments where their moments
Hell
might
yeah.
reset, but they don't show it, But I mean,
Right.
'cause a lot of people don't want to show weakness. But the important thing is like I said, you just got to be able to crawl out of that because not everything is perfect. And one of the yeah, you're right. And I look back at some of the videos. I may not be my subscriber growth might not be
Man,
big,
fuck that. Yeah.
but when someone leaves a compliment saying, great video, or I really like it, what you said inspired me. That's what motivates me to continue on going.
Precisely. And that's the thing too. You know what I'm saying? It's like you got to get out of it. And a lot of men, we don't like to talk about shit. We don't like to vent our feelings and shit. Every time we do a video, every time we have conversations like this is somewhat of our therapy. This gives us a safe forum to discuss and have conversations with people who can relate to a crappy year, some turbulent times and some hurdles. So, we are making a difference. You're making a difference. I'm making a difference. This is historical. This show that we're doing together. It doesn't mean that things aren't going to get bad and shit, but it also means that we're going to be able to get through them when they do get bad. So,
Hmm.
the more losses we have, the closer we are to a win. And I haven't met one entrepreneur or one successful person that said that every day they've had a good day. Most successful people have always had bad days, and you hear the backstories and the documentaries. They've been through shit that we've been through, so we're on the right path, bro.
Right. I can't recall the name of this guy, but I remember I read a book and I saw something on the intro. And I remember like one day his wife divorced him. He lost like all of his clients, and then he got into an accident all in one day. But and then does that ring a bell?
Is that I don't. Well, it's kind of reminds me of Pursuit of Happiness, The Pursuit of Happiness, but Will Smith did that movie, but it's kind of similar, right? When it rains, it pours, man. Like loses a mother, gets sick, gets evicted, fucking wife leaves him and shit like that, and he has to put his pieces back together. We
Hmm.
all go through that into one way, shape, or form, man. It's just, I rather have these type of problems, Rob, these entrepreneur problems, than the problems that other people. Because imagine, Rob, watch this. Everybody goes through shit, right? Imagine some people going through shit without talent, without a book, without a show, without another side hustle. Guys that just don't know how to do anything but just go to work and punch a clock. At least we have other things to fall back on. So we're very fortunate. We're very fortunate to have this skill, and God gave us a blessing with meeting people. So I think it's important for us to be thankful so we can
Mhm.
be prepared to receive more. Because if you're not appreciative of what you have, you're never going to have an opportunity to get any more.
Right. Well, and you know what I've noticed, well, at least for me, when you go through these downward spirals in your life, I think it gives it kind of like adds more fuel to your drive and your motivation to succeed.
Hell yeah.
Because you can, I've always learned to transmute depression and and anger into like art and just getting shit done. That's my way of addressing
Mm.
it,
Well,
you know.
think about this. The best love songs, the best songs are ballads, fucking heartbreak. Sometimes you go through a divorce or a breakup and shit, they come out with the greatest albums and shit. The best, you just said depression and anger into art. So sometimes, when I'm going through some shit, I get more inspired, I get more creative, and I do a really kick-ass show. So at least we have the opportunity, we've learned how to channel the things that we experience, because everybody experiences a little bout of depression, anger, sadness, etc. But at least we're not letting it internalize us. Yeah, we may not be writing in our fucking diary, Robert. We may not be telling women about our problems, but at least we're creating, and we're coming with good conversations and things that can be able to save and inspire other people. So
Right.
we are letting it out, but we're doing it in a constructive way. We're not drinking ourselves to death. We're not breaking windows and shit like that. We're doing it in a constructive way, like a man. That's an attractive
Mhm.
trait, because now we can deal with what the world has to throw at us and turn it into something good. We turn a loss into a lesson.
Mhm. Right. Well, so Afi had mentioned, in the comments here, like something about like a video. So what he's talking about is I did a video about the lesson I learned from this situation I was in with this last girl. And I was a little kind of, I don't know, I was a little hesitant to like post it. Then Afi just said, no, post it anyways. And he saw it. And so pretty much I go in there, explain the situation a little bit, but then I talk about like the lesson I learned from that. Cause, for some other guy who might be in another situation like I was in, I could actually help him avoid a mistake by just like, sharing my experience with him,
Sure.
and that's going to go live tomorrow.
Oh, nice. Okay.
Um,
Oh, excellent.
so
Can't wait to see that. Okay.
but it took me, it just took me a lot of. I thought like I don't know if I want to, post
Sure.
it, but
Sure.
I'm like, you know what? I don't care what people think. I'm going to do it, and if I can help someone who's been in a similar situation avoid a mistake, I could. That would be great.
You know, vulnerability. Vulnerability is something that's also very attractive. And we're not just talking about towards women. It can also be attractive. It could draw people towards you, men included, and not in a gay way, vulnerable, but vulnerable on your own terms. Look what you did. You decided to share something that was personal. You put yourself in a vulnerable position, but you did it your way. You did it on your platform. You're allowing people to share and hear your story with the hopes of preventing, or maybe reminding or letting somebody else know that if they go through this, there's a light at the end of the tunnel. So, vulnerability, the ability to be vulnerable on command, being confident enough to know I don't give a fuck what anybody says. I know who I am, and I know that shit happens, and I become a better person because of it. I think that's something that will draw people to you. And,
Hmm.
congratulations on doing that, man, because again, this shit is not easy to express ourselves. But at the end of the day, expressing yourself doesn't mean that you're any less of a man. It just means that you're more of an aware man. And when
Hmm.
you express yourself, you're releasing it from yourself and you're not allowing it to fester. So that's good.
Well, see, and that's how I deal. We're talking about processing emotion stuff. That's how, anger, frustration. That's how I dealt with it. I turned it into like a video, and I probably did like four different recordings of it until I got it
Sure.
right because I didn't
Sure,
know
sure,
how
sure.
to really articulate things
Sure.
at first. But
That's
it was something
awesome.
I wanted to do
Right.
because and it was weird because like Afi knew about my situation too, and like when he did, he sent me a video that King Dre kind of did about certain, you will lose these type of women. And right then when I listened, and I hit up King Dre that night after, I said, Afi sent me this video, just wanted to hear it, and I have to say, it really struck a chord with me, man, because it reminds me of the situation I'm going through right now.
That's awesome.
And it's, I guess, yeah, I guess you're right. It's okay to be vulnerable. It's not like I wasn't crying.
Yeah. Yeah. And let me just be very clear. Be vulnerable on your own terms. You know what I'm saying? I'm controlling what you guys are seeing. I'm controlling the feelings that I have. So the fact that you decided to do it on your own terms and you feel better for doing it, that was on your own terms, right? And it's something that you think you're using as a teachable moment. I'm sure you had your own emotions that you dealt with personally, which is fine, but at least you were able to share with the world and allow people to learn from what you've experienced. So it's only going to make you a better man, bro.
Right, exactly. Well, I mean that's, I guess, like what you as you go through experiences in life, like that's the whole point of this. Like when things don't go right, and the situation goes right, you learn from that, and you learn how to deal with that for next
Right.
time.
Exactly.
So, any final thoughts before we leave the show here? I know it's getting a little late going to bed.
Nah, it's cool. Nah, man. Always a pleasure.
I
This is
know.
yeah, I love these conversations, man, because it's like I forget the cameras on and we're just talking our shit, man. We're
Yeah,
just going
same
back and
here.
forth. Yeah, going back and forth. Doesn't even feel like a show. But yeah, man, I appreciate you for having me on, guys. Do me a favor, make sure you guys check out my YouTube channel, Alpha Villains. Got a morning show called Finish Your Breakfast with AV, weekday mornings, 8:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. And I'm also on Instagram at Alpha Villains, man. If I don't talk to you before, Rob, hope you have a happy holiday, man. I'm looking forward to meeting you sometime next year, man. And it's
Yeah,
always a
rock
pleasure,
on.
man.
We'll make it happen. Yeah, guys,
Absolutely.
definitely check out Alpha Villain's channel. Like I've known him for a while. Like he really knows how to articulate and get
Appreciate
my
you.
attention when
Appreciate you.
I don't get a chance to listen too much, honestly, because
Nah,
it's
I
so
know,
early
man.
in the
It's all
morning.
good. It's all good. Nah, man, it's
But
all
when
good.
listening, I like the way the words just flow and your
Appreciate you.
thought processes. I like it, man. It's
Thank you,
very
man.
cool. Like a lot of
Thank you.
people who I know personally who have seen you on the air, they say the same thing. Like they always say you're the favorite guest that I've had on the
Thank you,
channel.
man. That's awesome. Thank you very much.
So
Appreciate
yeah,
you.
and we'll definitely have you back on
For
early
sure.
next year. Like
Let me know.
I got one more stream coming up on
Okay.
Saturday, and that's gonna be my last stream for the
Okay.
year. I
Okay,
mean,
cool.
because I'm moving. So
Sure,
yeah,
sure, sure.
thank you very much again. And do you have like a website at all, or?
Yeah, you guys can check out. I'm building another website, but right now my website, alphavillains.com, is the merch website. You guys can go to www.alphavillains.com. It's my merch right now. I'm going to transition that to I can get something else I'm working on. But yeah, alphavillains.com is where you can check out my merch and shit. And again, youtube.com/alphavillains, my channel. Check me out, man. See what you think.
Well, rock on. Well, thanks for coming on. We'll have you on next year.
Cool.
Peace.